What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Water Cooler Quarterback, where we act like we know things about football. On today's episode, we are going to be going through some of the coaches that are entering the 2023 season on the hot seat. Yes, every year it seems like some coaches are going into a make or break season, and the 2023 season is no different. So here's a handful of guys that I think are going to be fighting for their head coaching position throughout this new year. A couple of honorable mentions before we get started. I think one guy in particular would be Matt LaFleur with the Packers. Matt LaFleur, of course, has seen a lot of success as the Packers head coach, but how much of that exactly is due to Aaron Rodgers? I wouldn't quite say he's on the hot seat, but I am eager to see what he can do with Jordan Love. Then, of course, there's also Sean Payton, who's been talking a big game and talking a lot of smack about the Broncos' former coaching staff. So I'm eager to see what Sean Payton is able to do with the Broncos and see if he can get Russell Wilson back up to speed. Now, with a couple of the honorable mentions out of the way, let's take a look at some of the true hot seat head coaches. These guys are in no particular order. We're just going to be going through the list that I've compiled and talking about them. So if one guy is more on the hot seat than somebody else, I'm not ranking these guys. We're just going to go ahead and talk about them. First up is Brandon Staley with the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley has had 2 years of an absolutely insane roster, and all he's managed to do with it is make the playoffs once and lose in the first round. In epic fashion, I might add. Staley is a defensive-minded head coach, and despite having some great players on the defense, the Chargers have finished 30th and 21st in overall defense in his 2 years of coaching. So going into his third year, I doubt we see a mid-season firing of Brandon Staley unless everything falls apart for this team right from the get-go. But I think anything short of a playoff win for this team could result in Staley losing his job. And that brings us to head coach number 2, which is Ron Rivera. Now, Ron Rivera is a guy that you love to root for. He's a solid head coach, he's a cancer survivor, he's taken a team to a Super Bowl, and he very clearly cares about his guys, which is why it's so unfortunate that he finds himself on this list. The fact of the matter is, the Washington Commanders are under new ownership, and with new ownership comes evaluating what pieces of the team are working and should stay, and which pieces are not. So I am a little worried that if this team does not see significant improvement, that Ron Rivera could find himself out of a job. Head coach number 3 that we're going to talk about is Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy finds himself underneath the ever-watchful eye of owner Jerry Jones. I discussed briefly in the NFC East video that I released a few weeks back that Jerry Jones wants to win now, and I think that this roster is built to do just that. They can make it to the playoffs, and they can win a game, as they did last year, but if they don't do much better than that, I think Jerry Jones is going to be done with Mike McCarthy. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore was scapegoated at the end of last year, and now that he is not around, everything is going to fall on McCarthy. Moreover, defensive coordinator Dan Quinn is more than qualified for a head coaching job, and it seems that he is just waiting in the wings for Mike McCarthy to get the axe and be able to take over once that happens. Now, the fourth head coach that we're going to talk about is Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski has been in Cleveland for 3 years now, and in his first season managed to take the team to the playoffs and win a game with quarterback Baker Mayfield. But with a losing season the next year, Mayfield was scapegoated and chased out of town. Stefanski also led a losing season last year with double-digit losses, and you could argue that it was a bit of a gap year and they're not going to count it because of Deshaun Watson's suspension, but the fact is the team has sold out for a big-name QB. And with no one left to take the fall, it's all going to be on Stefanski. If he can't put together a winning season, I think the team might be looking to go in a different direction. Now, the fifth and final head coach that we're going to talk about is Bill Belichick. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but there will come a time when Bill Belichick is not going to be the head coach of the New England Patriots. And it sounds blasphemous to even say that he could be on the hot seat, but here we are. Belichick has had 3 years to show the world that he's the guy in New England and that he can find success without Tom Brady. And all that's got him is one trip to the playoffs, which resulted in an absolute blowout at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm not saying that Bill needs to be fired mid-season and leave the team in disgrace. No, he should be given the respect for everything he's done. But what I am saying is that times change. Empires rise and fall. And you got to start to wonder, when's it time for Bill to go? Now, of course, this list is not exhaustive. Oftentimes, the first head coach that gets fired every year is not someone that you think it would have been heading into the season. So if you think that your head coach is on the hot seat, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. While you're there, you might as well drop a like, and hey, go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell so you know when these videos come out. Until next time, my name is Andrew, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.